Recording to the cloud. Okay. Hello, John Davis. Welcome. Ms. Rhonda, my co-partner in the Business Institute and Business Zone. Welcome. Welcome all the kids from the Business Institute, from the Biz Camp. Hello. Glad to have you guys.
Yeah.
So welcome everyone. We have a full house. Stephen likes to have a full house. All right, Stephen, we're ready.
Greg.
Good morning, good afternoon, and perhaps for some, good evening. Welcome to the community briefing out of Los Angeles. My name is Gregory Sneed, and we are happy for you to join us today for our information session that we love to share knowledge, wisdom, and things that are going on with the community. My name is Gregory Sneed, and I have my own company, Lifesaver Financial Services, where I help my clients keep more of the money that they make. And similar to going to the doctor to get a checkup, I always recommend for your money to have a checkup, to have a physical, to see how's it doing. Is it in good health, or is your money funny, your credit won't get it, and your change is strange?
I like it.
So I will put information in the chat if you would like to schedule a free consultation to see how I can help you keep more of your money. It would be my pleasure. Now to our queen, Crystal Mitchell.
Welcome everyone to this week's community briefing. Glad to have you. This is an awesome platform for those of us in our community that are that need to know what's going on at all times and making sure that your business is getting the information, the mentorship, and the tools you need to be successful. So welcome. I am Crystal Mitchell. I'm the co-director of Recycling Black Dollars, as well as an entrepreneur. I run my own company called Mitchell Business Solutions. And I host two other podcasts besides this one, The Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert, that airs every Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock, and as well as Communications on the Patio that broadcasts live on Facebook on Mondays at, well, the time kind of varies. So right now on Mondays at 1 o'clock, and we talk about retirement, what you need to do in order to retire as an entrepreneur. So thank you guys for coming out. The community briefing was created as a platform for the community, by the community. We bring our stakeholders, our leaders, our mentorship, our mentors, our successful business owners that are operating in the community together so that we can share, network, and share our experiences and our information with one another. My motto is that it's better to be at the table where the decisions are being made as opposed to being on the menu where you are actually the topic. So welcome to Community Briefing. My partners, Mr. Greg Sneed, Mr. Stephen Turner, and Ms. Robin Phillips, who is not here yet, but should be coming in. We have a great guest today, and is she here yet? Not yet, right? So Stephen, you're going to introduce yourself now?
Yes. Okay. My name is Stephen Turner. I'm the managing principal of the Slate Group. We're a risk management insurance firm providing workers' comp, general liability, group insurance. Our sweet spot is that employer who has anywhere from 10 to maybe like 50 employees. Also, I'm a proud member of the Black Business Association, celebrating our 51 year in business. We're unapologetically advocates of Black businesses, using advocacy, our voice, as well as helping nonprofits and for-profits succeed in these difficult times. I'd like to thank everyone for joining the community briefing. We're waiting for our guests to come online, but in the meantime, we're fortunate to have with us Bianca Volbecki. And Bianca Volbecki, I'm going to ask you to share a few words with us. Put on the spot.
Okay. Hi, I'm Jacopo Becky. What would you like me to talk about?
Your
Years
business.
of business, how you became a successful entrepreneur, business owner, and
Your
how you
business.
pivoting and doing these difficult times.
Okay. So I'm Jacopo Becky, and I started actually I started a trucking company in 2006. And I was able to get my general contractor's license. And 2 years later, so my construction company is, my trucking company is now also doing construction. We had, I used being a minority owner and a female business owner to get access and certification. So I was able to grow my business by working with the federal government that has a lot of incentives for women-owned and minority-owned businesses. So I was able to work with the Army, the Air Force, the Marines. I actually have a Homeland Security contract for the past 12 years. So, and also we've been working a lot of utility companies and where there is, I guess, a lot of women-owned companies in the construction more and more, but I guess the trucking industry is very interesting, because I get asked, how did you get involved in starting a trucking company? And we move freight for the gas company and Edison and a lot of local companies. Even though we're doing trucking, most of it is construction materials, so it's kind of all related. We also sell construction materials, and we've been able to grow for the past 16 years. Um, and during COVID, we decided that because a lot of our business has slowed down, and I wanted to keep my employees working. We have 11 employees. So, so what we did is we tried to pivot and learn ways. I've always wanted to sell in Amazon, and so that gave us the time to learn how to get into Amazon. And so now we have a store at Shopify and also the Amazon. So in a slow time, we did research. We attended meetings like this every week. I've been, I think from the first meeting of this community briefing, I've attended almost every meeting, and I've learned and got a lot of resources to help me grow my business and learn how to pivot. And I mean, through these, we just got our $25,000 from the state. uh, so we've learned about a lot of the grants that are out and a lot of opportunities that are out to help small businesses recover and stay alive through the COVID. So this is a great platform, and I'm glad to be part of it.
Well, we are glad to have you. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. We're going to have Roger introduce himself, but before we do, my partner, Miss Rhonda Halbert, she's going to tell us about Biz Institute and what these young people are doing. You're on mute, Rhonda.
Hello, Rhonda.
Hello, there we go. My button wouldn't unclick. All right, good morning, everyone, and good afternoon. In case I don't see you, good night. So, but I'm here to talk about, to share with our young people. We have 30 young individuals between the age of 13 and 18 who are participating in the Summer Youth Entrepreneur Program. One is called Biz Camp, which is for first timers. And then we have Biz Institute, who's for individuals that actually have a business already. And we have been running, the Los Angeles Urban League has been running this program for the last 15 years. And we've gone online on Zoom this year and last year. And we're excited about these young people today who will be joining us. They have businesses that range from food products to online lip gloss and accessory stores, to a number of different types of businesses. And it's an opportunity for them to be able to start their own business, run their own business, and then even one day perhaps hire their parents.
Exactly. So we want to thank you guys. Now, while we're waiting for our guests still to come in, the kids are having a sale day this weekend. So we're going to have you, we're going to put the contact in the contact information in the chat room. And if you if you so desire to go over to the Urban League's website and be able to help support them, which is one of the projects that they have for summer camp, is to for sale day. Our goal is that our kids are always making money with their businesses and learning how to sell and market to their community and making sure we're recycling those Black dollars. So thank you. Thank you, Ms. Rhonda. So it looks like our guest is here. So do we want Roger to talk about himself while she's coming on?
Well, we have Robin is with us now. So Robin, Ms. Phillips is graced us with her beautiful, lovely smile and presence. So Rhonda, please introduce yourself.
Hi guys, it's Robin Billups. I'm excited to be here as usual. First, I want to say to the students, you guys are already winners. And the reason why I say that is because you're learning and you're actively engaging in enterprise. You know, every day, the supply chain for life is functioning every day. So you guys, with your products and services that you're offering, you're actually already engaged in the supply chain. So soak up everything that you can, read everything that you can, and ask questions. Whenever you have subject matter experts in front of you, it's critically important that you ask questions. And don't be the person that said, well, I was going to ask a question, but I didn't think it was important, or I didn't want to look stupid. Be stupid, ask questions, ask questions, because people that don't ask questions are not necessarily successful. So your success is hindered upon you gaining information from folks who've already been down the pike. Let me just say this. Wisdom and knowledge comes with time. I just turned 66 this past Sunday. I spent 40 years in the banking industry, literally financial services industry, I should say, and with a journalism degree. So when I graduated with my journalism degree, had an internship, worked a 40-hour job the whole 4 years I was in college, and moved to California to try to get a job in public relations, I ended up in banking. So what I'm saying is this. Every day, your mission in life is to obtain marketable skills. Don't chase the money, chase the skill set. If you chase the skill set, then you learn how to negotiate for your money. Then the value that you bring to the table, people are going to pay you for those services. So I'm truly excited about all of these young people that are on this call today. And a lot of the adults that are on this call are highly successful individuals. So, you know, take the time to look at their names. When time permits, go online and look them up. You know, if you don't have a LinkedIn profile set up yet, immediately do that, because that's the social media for professionals. Facebook is for social life. LinkedIn is for your professional life. So I strongly suggest you do that. And my other suggestion is this: we start resumes in the 5th grade. So if you do not have a resume, start working on one. And because you guys are web savvy, Google anything that you don't understand, get on Google and get you some information so that you have when you have a conversation with someone about it, you have a little bit of information and you're not starting from scratch. And I know I took more time than I was supposed to, but I get excited when it comes to talking to my young people, because you guys are our next generation. You guys are our future, and we are strongly dependent on you guys to carry the torch.
And thank you so much, Ms. Robin, and happy birthday.
Thank you. It was wonderful. It was wonderful. I've had a wonderful July already. Okay.
Awesome. All right, Mr. Greg,
Hey,
turned over to you.
All right, thank you very much. And yes, happy belated birthday, Robin. And beautiful smile. Look at it. Look at it. She's smiling. Okay, so with pleasure, I am here to introduce our guest speaker, Lerae Funderburg. And she has a law-based practice in Atlanta, Georgia. And it's a boutique transactional law firm that focuses on business, entertainment, intellectual property, and specifically trademarks and copyrights. You students, have you raised your hand? Have you learned out what a copyright is and a trademark? Some of you, a couple of you? All right, fantastic. Well, she will then focus on some of that, what that is and why it's important to have, certainly when it comes to intellectual property and having rights, owning rights to stuff. So she's the managing attorney, and she has been in that practice for the last 5+ years. She's worked with different independent production companies, Mentor and Associates, a Preston Chase Consulting, H Premier Properties, Winter LLP, I imagine that is a limited partnership law firm, Mitigation South, the Georgia Supreme Court, 360 Music Group, Alternative Sentencing and Mitigation Institute, and Fulton County Conflict Defender. She has a degree, a BA from Clark Atlanta University. She also has some studies from Chapman University School of Law, Howard University School of Law. She's had some training in Costa Rica and also the Northeastern University. So please join me in welcoming Lerae Funderburg.
Yay!
Hello, everyone. I'm like listening to him read all of that off. That was like many moons ago. I don't even remember doing half of that stuff. I'm like, who is this woman he is talking about? Because honestly, so for like the past 10 years, my focus has been on law. For the past 5 years, I've been running my own practice here in Atlanta. And so, yeah, I focus mainly on business entity formation contracts, drafting, reviewing, negotiating those, and also, like you said, intellectual property, specifically copyrights and trademarks. I used to do a little bit of estate planning because my motto was, create the business, protect the brand, build the legacy. And so because a lot of us definitely forget about that piece of it, right? We do all of this working, some of us go through the process of protecting our brands. We have these businesses that we formed and that we're working in, but we don't plan for them after we're no longer able to do so, or even for all of our assets and things like that, especially if we have young children. Those are just things to be mindful of, to create a estate plan and worry about, the future generations for sure. But yeah, I'll just walk you guys through pretty bare bones basics, because I'm very much one, when I'm talking to the youth, like I would prefer a more, fluid conversation. I'm here to serve you guys. So whatever questions that you do have, definitely just ask them. And I think the conversation usually just flows a lot better that way. But I will start off basically just letting you know about when starting a business, right? So there are different entity forms that are in existence. You have your sole proprietorship, you have partnerships, you have LLCs, you have corporations, and then you may have like variations of partnerships, like limited liability partnership or a limited partnership. There's like a number of those. I won't get into all of the details of that, but as far as the sole proprietorship, that's pretty much like not really having an entity at all. So one of the main reasons you want to form a business is to protect yourself personally from all of the liabilities of the business itself, right? A lot of us go into business by ourselves just as an individual, but you want to have some sort of corporate form that's going to protect you once you do something under the business. Say, for an example, you create, body care products, right? And somebody buys one of your lotions and uses it and, it burns their face off, God forbid. And now they want to come sue you. So if you just had a sole proprietorship, which is like not having any entity at all, that's just an entity that's run by you as a single individual. It's not a separate legal entity. It doesn't exist apart from the owner, except for tax purposes. But yeah, so if that customer of yours gets their face burned off, then they're going to come sue you. They're going to sue your business. They're going to be able to obtain all the assets of your business. And they're also going to be able to reach all of your personal assets. So, your house, whatever money you have in your bank account. And so in order to avoid that, you want to create an entity separate and apart from you, so that all of your acts that are being done within your business, you are only held liable for those. And so one of the ways that you do that is by forming a corporation or a limited liability company. A limited liability company is the favorite form for small businesses, and that's because it's going to give you that protection that you need as far as limited liability. But it's also going to give you flow through taxation. Now, I am not a tax professional. I do not pretend to be a tax professional. I do not know very much about taxes, but I do know as far as the difference between like the corporation and the limited liability company. Like when you're filing your taxes, your income is going to be taxed just one time. Like it's going to be taxed personally. So it's like fill out only that one tax form and file a separate Schedule C for all of the profits and losses of your business, but you're only paying one tax. Whereas under a corporation, you're being taxed twice because the corporate entity is being taxed. And also then when the money is being distributed to the owners of the corporation, they are also being taxed again for what it is that they receive. So under a corporation, you do also receive that same protection, personal liability. You're shielded from personal liability for your corporate acts. But another reason I always advise small businesses not to go the corporate route is because there are a lot of corporate formalities, right? And so it's going to vary by your state. It's going to depend on what your state corporate law is, but a lot of them require you to have like a certain number of a board of directors, and you have to do annual meetings and do certain filings. And for a lot of us small business owners who are just starting out and who are just wanting to get our business off the ground, like we're not going to keep up with all of that stuff. And failure to maintain all of those corporate formalities can cause you to lose your corporate shield, right? And then if you lose your corporate shield, there's something known legally as piercing the corporate veil. So once that corporate shield is lost, that means if you are that same business owner who sold skincare products or body care products, and you weren't treating your business separately from yourself as an entity, which means like having your board of directors doing the annual registrations. You don't have a separate business account. You're pretty much running your business as an extension of yourself. Then when somebody comes to sue you and they can prove that there's really no separation between you personally as an individual and you as the business owner, then they can pierce the corporate veil, and then they're able to come after all of your personal assets. So you don't want to have that happen, and you don't have that really happen in the limited liability context. So that's why limited liability company context. So that's why it's usually the favorite form for small businesses to start the LLCs, because like I said, you get the protection that you need without all of the issues. Okay, I see some questions in here. Now, tell me if you don't want me to do it like this, but I do like to just answer questions for people. So I just saw that the chat was going off. I see Alicia Bernadez. My business is Foodies Desserts. I sell banana pudding. My question is, with limited liability, does that lower your tax rate as much as corporations? So that is definitely a tax question. I think I said already that I'm not a tax professional, so I do not like to give tax advice. I'm not sure if there's anybody on the panel who can speak to that. If so, feel free, but you would definitely want to consult a tax person about that. And so actually, yeah, let me speak on that before I continue with my presentation. So normally I tell and when I'm advising my clients and when they want to get started in a business, it's I give them this business startup checklist. And one of the first people I tell them to go see is a tax professional, right? And they're always like, oh, but you're a lawyer and you would think you would see an attorney first. And I'm like, yeah, no, you actually want to see a tax professional first because of exactly what Miss Alicia Bernadez is asking. To find out what the different tax aspects of various business entities are, because you will want to minimize your tax burden and also to maximize the profit potential. And so your tax professional is going to be able to advise you on those matters. And then you want to, come see an attorney after you've decided to select your entity, because we can help you with forming, your limited liability, your corporation. Yeah, I mean, your LLC or your corporation or a partnership, if that's what you're doing. And I think I forgot to speak on that, but a partnership is basically two sole proprietors kind of coming together. And that's when two entities are carrying on business for a profit. And partnership is governed by state law again. And so if you don't have a partnership agreement in place, which you should, and I will touch more on the importance of contracts in a little bit, but yeah, if you don't have a partnership agreement, state law is going to govern. And most of the time, state law says that, you know, we split everything 50-50. Profits, losses, you know, management of the entity is all split 50-50. So if you're going into a partnership with somebody, first you want to be very clear and not use that word partner loosely, right? Unless what you're intending is an actual partnership. I hear people say it all the time, like, oh yeah, my business partner, my business partner. I'm like, is that really your partner? Because that means something. And simply when two people do carry on business for a profit, in effect, they have created a partnership. And if there's no partnership agreement in place, then they have agreed to split everything down the board 50-50. And like I said, and that's going to be profits, losses, responsibilities, like the whole nine. So definitely be clear on that and create business partnership agreements, because sometimes you have a situation where you're going into business with somebody and, you know, they may be investing, you know, bringing some money while the other person is bringing sweat equity. And depending on how you guys determined like what that was worth, it might have only been like a 30-70 split, right? But if you don't have a partnership agreement that states that, then everything's going to be looked at 50-50. One of the other things that you're going to want to do in starting your business is make sure that you have your internal documentation drafted. And so like for your LLC, that's going to be an operating agreement. And for your corporation, that's going to be your bylaws. And so that's pretty much the document and the agreement between the principals among the people who own the entity. If it's just you who has the business, you still want to have those documents in place, because what you'll want to do is open a business bank account. And most banks require that you have that in addition to your articles of organization or your articles of incorporation, which you will obtain from the Secretary of State and what you're doing business. But yeah, your entity formation documents are going to go over like ownership issues, profit loss allocation, voting rights, you know, who's funding the entity, things like that. But you definitely want to have those drafted. Very important when, you know, you're dealing with more than one person who owns the business.
Lerae, hey, it's Robin. There's a question here from Anissa. I think that is your specialty. She says, if I had a book cover designed from something inspired and had someone to create the cover based on my idea, can you talk about how I am to trademark, et cetera, my intellectual property?
Absolutely.
That's
so
good.
So when you have, okay, so let me speak on copyrights and trademarks, since that's pretty much what that question is covering, right? So copyrights and trademarks, they're both two forms of intellectual property. Copyrights protect original works of authorships that are fixed in a tangible medium of expression. Basically, what that means is like they are creative works. So that's going to be like paintings, sculptures, drawings, like you said, your book cover, things like that. But once that item becomes tangible, which means it's like on a piece of paper or it's fixed on a disc or something that can be held or tossed across the room or something like that, tangible item, then copyright maintains copyright protection. When you are engaging somebody to create copyrighted works for you, you run into the issue of that person actually owning the copyright. And so this is something that, you know, my clients run into all the time, because they're like, oh, I had a graphic designer create this for me, and yeah, it's mine. And most of the time, if you were to have an agreement with that person, you usually have an agreement for their services, right? And so you're like, hey, I'm going to pay you X amount of dollars to create this for me. But what you're not paying them for are the results and proceeds of their services, which is like the transfer of that copyright, because copyright remains with the owner, and that is the actual creator of the work. there's specific language required under the Copyright Act that needs to be in a written agreement that transfers the results and proceeds and transfers that copyright over to you as the individual who has engaged somebody for that work. And so a work for hire document is something that you definitely want to use in that place as far as like the book cover is concerned, because simply just having an agreement that says, hey, you know, I'm paying you to do this for me does not grant those rights to you. And so I know I get a lot of clients who like do stuff on Fiverr and then they're like worried about whether or not, and this has actually happened, they'll see their same logo somewhere else or somebody else will catch it and they're like, hey, I paid somebody to do that for me. And I'm like, yeah, well, you know, when you're on Fiverr, for one, if you don't engage directly with the person who's creating that work for you and have them fill out a work for hire document, then there's no transfer of those rights. And normally your agreement is with Fiverr because that's the entity that you're actually doing the service with. They just have people who are working on the site for them. But so yes, you definitely want to make sure you have a work for hire document in place so that you can own the copyright to your book cover. Ideas are not copyrightable. I hate to tell you, everyone always gets caught up on that. They're just not. The closest thing that comes to protection is copyright, but that has to be like the tangible expression of that idea. And you giving that idea to somebody else and having them create it, they then own that copyright. So you want to have a work for hire document in place that copyright can be transferred to you. And so as far as a trademark is concerned, a trademark is a word, phrase, a design, or a combination of words, phrases, or designs that is used in association with particular goods and or services. And so examples are like logos or slogans or business names, right? And so I always like to give the example of Nike because they have a bunch of trademarks. And so they have the word Nike, they have the slogan, just do it. They have the Nike swoosh. You may see the swoosh with just do it. You may see the swoosh with Nike, you know, and so they have a variety of different trademarks and they use them in association with all of the goods that they provide, you know, sports gear, sneakers, watches, what have you. And so that's how those two intellectual properties differ. The correlation between like copyrights and trademarks comes in when mainly when you're looking at a logo, right? Because a design is something that could be subject to copyright and protected under copyright. But when you trademark that design, it's only protected in association with those goods and services. It's not protected in general. So I always tell people to, if you have a design that you're using as a logo, you should obtain copyright protection for it and trademark protection for it, because your design protection under trademark is just limited to use it in association like similar goods and services that they're offering for sale.
We have a young artist as one of our students, and he says, how would I copyright my artwork? And then his further question is, do I have to copyright every image one at a time?
And so to copyright your works, you're gonna wanna either engage an attorney who specializes in copyright law, or you could go to the United States Copyright Office. It's copyright.gov site. And they're actually, both the copyright.gov site and the USPTO.gov site are very, very comprehensive. They're very, people who do copyright and trademark protection, because a lot of times they're copywriting and trademarking a lot of things, it lends itself to a lot of DIY. And everybody knows that. And so the Copyright Office and the Trademark Office, they provide extensive resources on copyrights and trademarks. They have, you know, videos and things that show you how to go through the process. They explain like steps along the way. Even when you're going through the applications themselves, there's lots of hyperlinks where it's like, explaining further what should be in these certain places. So yes, if you were going to go the DIY route and do it yourself, I would definitely get very familiar with the copyright.gov website and file an application online. As far as protecting all of your images separately, they do have an option where you can protect like a compilation of works, so that you are not protecting, paying a separate application fee for each individual work of art separately. So yes, you can do that. One thing that I normally advise people of, like the artwork that's going out. So if you're creating art and, not really doing too much of anything with it, you may want to hold off on, obtaining copyright protection for it for now. And that's only because copyright protection actually exists at the moment of creation, right? And so once you protect that, once you've created that work and fixed it in a tangible medium of expression, it is actually protected under copyright. It's always advised to get federal registration because you have additional rights, right? So like if somebody were to infringe upon your copyright, if you see it out there somewhere and you want to sue them, you're not able to do that unless you actually have a registered copyright with the Copyright Office. And so you do get additional protections, like I said, for obtaining that registration. And so I always advise, if you're putting that work out there anywhere, that's definitely when you want to obtain copyright protection for it. But if it's works that you're kind of just like sitting on, you may just want to, save your money until it's something that you're putting out there. But yes, they do have the option for you to copyright a number of works at one time.
There's a question on whether or not you can copyright food, or obviously the recipe of the food. And then there's a question from one of our other young ladies, Alicia, and that her question is, what is the difference between a federal trademark and are they state trademarks?
Okay, so I'll start with the trademark question. The difference between a federal trademark and a state trademark is just going to be your limitation on protection. So like trademark, copyright rights do exist. Like copyrights, trademark rights do exist at the moment you start using your mark in connection with your goods or services, right? So you actually have 3 levels of protection under trademark. You have common law, you have state law, and then you have federal. And so under the common law trademark, if, I have my law firm, right? And it's in Midtown Atlanta. So I use Funderburg Law in association with providing legal services in Atlanta. And without me doing anything additional, I have common law trademarks, but that is only limited to my local geographic location. So that means somebody in, Gwinnett County, Georgia, could have a Funderburg Law without infringing on my trademark because I haven't taken the step to protect it further. Right. And so if I do a state law trademark, which is a registration with the Secretary of State, that's going to give me protection for the entire state of Georgia, which means nobody could come in Gwinnett County, like in the common law example I gave you. No one would be able to go in Gwinnett County and open a Funderburg Law because I would have protection on the entire state. Federal trademark protection is where you want to be because it's going to give you nationwide protection across all of the 50 states. And so everyone, with us being in a very digital world, as soon as you put your stuff out there, it reaches everywhere, so you definitely want to make sure you have protection in all of the states as opposed to limiting it to just the one. The other question as far as copywriting food. So food itself, no, cannot be copywritten unless, I didn't see the question on here, so I don't know.
It's coming from sites. It's Lerae. It says, can you trademark a type of food if you come up with it?
No, so you cannot trademark a type of food. You can protect recipes under either trade secret or patent, right? I don't do either of those. I focus on copyrights and trademarks, but I'm like, I know enough about patents to know I don't want to have anything to do with them. But trademarks and trade secrets, and patents pretty much protect the same thing. So they're like recipes, processes, things that are utilitarian, like how to type things, like Coca-Cola, for example. The recipe for Coca-Cola is protected by trade secret. The difference between trade secret and patent is filed under the same office as the trademark office is. And so when you file anything with the USPTO, it's public record. And so that means that your recipe and everything would become public record. And you have a limited duration for protection under patent. It's like 20 years from the date of creation. So Coca-Cola opted to do trade secret, which is instead of patenting it where other people weren't able to replicate it for the patentable protection period, they went under trade secret, which is potentially infinite, but they have to safeguard those recipes like nobody's business, because the second that that recipe is out to the public, their protection ceases to exist. So they have to do that through, like, you know, confidentiality agreements, non-disclosure agreements, non-competition agreements, non-circumvention agreements, things of that nature, to tighten up with all of the people who have access to, their processes and procedures. Whereas with patent, you provide that information to the patent office and the general public, and you only have protection from it, from somebody else replicating it for 20 years from the date of creation.
I want to circle back quickly. Alicia has a question. We want to get some clarity here. She says, so does the federal trump the state trademark? If so, does that mean that the state trademark is redundant if you get the federal trademark?
Yeah, so I don't advise getting the state trademark. It's pretty much a waste, because it's just going to limit you to state protection. Federal will not trump, like, say I have Funderburg Law, right? Again, my law firm. And I have had my law firm business since 2010, right? And somebody decides to create, and say I got a state trademark for Funderburg Law, because I'm like, I'm not practicing anywhere else except in Georgia. I don't need to protect it outside of that. So somebody else who, my cousin, she has a firm, and she's like, you know what, I'm going to trademark my name, and I'm going to get a federal trademark. And so she goes through the process and obtains a federal trademark for Funderburg Law. She does have protection in all of those states except for Georgia, because I beat her to the punch as far as having my Funderburg Law firm existing in the state of Georgia and having a trademark there. But what she does is effectively shuts me out from using my brand name in the other 49 states, because she now has the federal trademark that covers them all.
Awesome. That's a good one. Rhonda has, and this also came from one of the young people, Alicia, I believe. Should you have a partnership agreement, even if it's your parents, mother, father, or family member?
Our family are the worst ones. Definitely want to always have a partnership agreement, or just an agreement in place. And honestly, it just makes things a lot clearer. So it's going to minimize issues. It's going to state, who owns what, especially when it comes to intellectual property or any other work products of whatever it is that you guys are going into business for. It's going to state, like, who gets what, when, as far as money, it'll reflect the law. It creates certainty. I mean, you just definitely want to have an agreement in place, regardless of who it is that you're dealing with, for sure. Just because if there's
family always gets along, right? There's no disagreements ever among family members.
Absolutely, that's right. And so I'm like, because those will be the ones that'll drag you more than, a stranger off the street would. But yeah, it helps to, build trust. And it's something that you could just refer back to whenever there's any issues about anything that you guys are having. It's like, okay, well, let's go back to this document and see what speaks to that. And, you can solve a lot of issues that way.
I have a comment. I think the agreement's also important, because if you want to get a loan or any kind of contract, sometimes they want to see that agreement. They want to know who we're working with. And so if you don't have an agreement, then, and it's not signed, and it's not, then you may not get your contract, or it might prevent you from getting a loan even.
Yes.
Thank you, Bianca. There's a question from Jesse. If you register if you register copyright today for work that was created 20 years ago, do I register the date of the creation in 1999 or today's date? And do I lose the 20 years from creation date as far as expiration is concerned?
So no, so copyright is actually one of those things that's wonderful because it doesn't have to do with when the work was created as far as your protection. It actually depends on when the creator dies. So the protection extends from the life of the author or creator plus 70 years, right? And so when you do your application for copyright, they will ask you like when the work was created, but they just want to know when the work was created. So like I was saying before, you have copyright protection even before you register it with the federal government. You just get additional protection once you register it with the federal government. So you're not losing out on anything.
Greg had a question.
Well, actually, I wanted to sort of summarize that copyrights, trademarks, patents, all of these are legal protections. And for the students, what I would encourage you to do is do some research, Google it, and you'll to have a general understanding. And then your specific questions really need to be answered by an attorney, someone practice that specializes in that. And don't rely on social media or your family. You wouldn't go to a foot doctor to work on your teeth. So when it comes to tax structure, you want to talk to a tax professional. And even though an attorney might know some things about taxes, they're not licensed or approved to talk about it. I'm a financial services, but I am not licensed to talk to you about stocks. So I can't tell you about it. Same thing with taxes. Can't give you tax advice. So you want to find a specialist with those specialized questions to get those answers. I see a lot of specific questions in there, and it would be impossible for us to cover all of them in the time slot that we have. They're very great questions, but Google, research, find out what they are, and then find a professional that can assist you. And of course, Ms. Funderburg is ready, willing, and available to provide that assistance, perhaps for a little bit of a fee.
Thank you. Ms. Funderburg, there's one of the young ladies, Michaela. She is interested in becoming a lawyer herself, an attorney herself, and she's 18, I believe, 17, 18, and she wants to know, what does it take to start her own law firm?
Ooh, what does it take? Lots of work, dedication, commitment. You have to really want it. You have look, definitely prayer, look. And it takes time, it definitely doesn't happen overnight. I remember the days where like I was making up stuff to do on my schedule, and then all of a sudden it was like, man, I wish I had a moment to be free. So like definitely just trust the process. But it'll come together, and having a mentor is like very, very instrumental, I think, in any profession. But definitely that was something that really helped me push me along the way and get me to where I am. So yeah, and if you'd like to reach out to me personally to talk about that, I think he linked my information on the chat, and we can set up a time to talk.
So that would be awesome, especially with a young lady wanting to maybe as a mentor, she could call you, making sure she makes the right decisions along the way, like law school and, the things that you probably stumbled across in your journey. Yeah, right, exactly. And I would even say, to me, I think young people, when you're going into your practice, into your career, you need to probably do some work at other law firms first to see exactly how they work before you start your own. So internships and things like that. So Michaela, make sure you take down Mrs. Funderburg's information, and then you can introduce yourself and reach out to her. I think we all have to make sure we mentor our kids to success.
Absolutely.
And so that they can But fantastic. You have been absolutely awesome. The kids are really enjoying this. They're all brand new to the entrepreneur world. And and I even learned a couple of things. So there was a question that was in the comment, and it was, once the patent or trademark expires, whenever that date is, do you have to go back through that process again, or is there a renewal?
So yes, for trademarks, their trademark protection is potentially infinite, but you do have a 10-year renewal process. During that first 10 years, you have to file a declaration between years 5 and 6 to state that you are still using the mark. And then between years 9 and 10, you file the actual renewal. But after that, it's every 10 years. For patent protection is only given to things that are novel and new. And so you only get that protection one time, and that protection lasts for 20 years from the date of creation, not from the date of actually filing the patent, but the actual date that you've created whatever that patentable subject matter is.
Ah, wow, that's excellent. Thank you so much. I've learned a lot here about protecting that. One of the young ladies, and we'll be closing out very shortly, in class today, one of the young ladies put in the chat, it's like, why does it cost so much to protect your work?
Because it's going to cost you even more not to.
That was my response.
Well, the other thing is too, guys, that you have to remember, this is where voting comes in, right? You know, these price points are set by the people that we elect, who are in those offices, Department of Commerce and the Office of Trademark and all of that. That's why it's so critically important for you to be an advocate for business owners, and also for you to vote. The vote that you make, the census and the votes are the two critical things that you guys need to stay focused on the rest of your life. When you're old enough to vote, even if you're not old enough to vote, make sure you understand what we're voting about, because it's going to affect you. And so again, when you talk about the expense of getting permits for construction, or the expense of owning a business, those are the kinds of things that we're going to be depending on you guys to help us advocate for, that, you know, that it's too expensive or it's too onerous as far as the process is concerned. Because you have to remember, a lot of this stuff was built in the 1930s and 40s and 50s and 60s, and nothing has really changed. And now we're in this digital age, and it should be cheaper. It should be more expedient, but the government still has those old systems. So again, it's critically important that you guys stay actively engaged in not only protecting your business, but also protecting your rights and protecting your vote.
Can I make a comment?
Much. Yes,
Please.
Roger. Right. Yes, Roger.
Okay. So I'm a nonprofit. So young people, keep in mind that there's also the opportunity to get your trademark pro bono. I had got mine done by a law firm, Lathan and Watkins, one of the biggest law firms in the world. And they did all my trademark work. So that's always an opportunity out there for you.
Thank you very much.
Great point.
And for the kids, Mr. Dangerfield, he's going to be coming out to the program to speak to the kids. Now, before we wrap up, the kids have a sale day on Friday, starting at 10 o'clock, and then Saturday. And so you can go over to the Los Angeles Urban League website, and their logos are there. You can click on their logo, and it will take you to a link that you can then support their businesses, as well as on July 30th, the kids are going to be competing in a competition. So we would love to have, if you're interested in being a judge, we also are looking for coaches for next week. So if this is something you guys would like to do, dedicate a little time to the kids to help them continue to work on their presentations, their Shark Tank presentations. We'd love to have you. So you can reach out to us at the Los Angeles Urban League under volunteers for Biz Camp, and we'd love to have that. So with that, Stephen's still online, so he can tell us who's our guest next week.
Next week, we have Dr. Glenna Tober of the Tober Medical Center. She's going to talk about nutrition, longevity, aging, and pain management. And for next week, as well as recording of this week's guest, if you've missed anything, please go to our website, www.communitybriefing.com. This particular segment will be recorded, be on Facebook and on YouTube for those who want to review. So stay tuned next week for July 29th for Dr. Glenna Tolbert.
Thank you, guys. This has been great. Thank you so much, Ms. Funderburg. We learned a lot. Even those of us that have been in business for a long time realize that there's some things that we probably need to go back and visit as well.
Thank you
so I'm going to be going back to revisiting some stuff in my in my content as well. Thank you so much. We so appreciate you taking the time to spend with us. We'll send the link to this webcast to you, John. Put it out there on the newspaper that we're out here every Thursday afternoon. That's every Thursday morning at 11 a.m. And we do appreciate having you join us.
Most definitely. Thank you so much.
Anything you'd like to say to the young people before they leave?
I'll just keep it up. I remember when I was in middle school and I was participating in a summer program, and a roommate of mine, we unofficially made our own little business where we were selling snacks and stuff like that. But, don't think of it as a little business. Everything you are doing, even if it's informal right now, it is legit, and it can be as big or as small as you want it to be. So that'd be my advice. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So with that, guys, any other announcements or anything, Stephen? Are we good?
We're good. I just want to leave last comment for our attorney Funderburg. A group of Black business owners from Los Angeles were back and forth to Atlanta, and I've gained a great appreciation of the entertainment industry in the Peach State. Can you briefly tell us a little bit about Atlanta and the draw that it has for those who are in the entertainment sector? You're on mute.
I'm sorry. I was gonna say just Atlanta's just where it's at, for lack of better terms. That's where a lot of the artists come from. It's where a lot of celebrities live. It's where a lot of films and things are made nowadays, because we have the tax credit out here, and a lot of studios have been built out here over the last few years. So it's just really an entertainment hub. It's really like the next Hollywood. In fact, I think we might be coming for LA as far as that's concerned. So it's definitely the scene where you want to be if you want to be in the entertainment industry, for sure.
Well, when you think about it, it was Mayor Maynard when he became the mayor. Yeah, Maynard Jackson, when he became the mayor, he was the one who literally opened the door for Black businesses to actively engage in any and everything that was going on in the city of Atlanta. And the legacy of that, I think, continues. And now the niche that they found is the entertainment sector, and I'm excited about all of it.
Brother Maynard Jackson.
Yeah.
He was an alpha.
Claim it, Greg. Claim it.
Andrew Young too.
All righty, guys.
And again, on behalf of the community briefing, we'd like to thank everyone for coming in today. Again, join in next week. Attorney Funderburg. For all of us, we thank you for your time and participation on today's gift. Crystal, can you give a closing comment before we close out?
Yes. So thank you guys so much. We so appreciate it. Please go tell as many people about the community briefing so that we can continue bringing to you these amazing business owners and stakeholders and leaders in our community, so we can see them face to face and ask questions directly. This platform is created for the community, by the community, and we want you to utilize it, support it, and to share it. So with that, we're going to close out. I'm going to ask my students to go back to using the link you use to sign in every day to BizCamp. Go back there and we will see you for a wrap up. And want to thank all of our entrepreneurs, our adult entrepreneurs and business owners for making a forum that the kids felt welcome enough to ask questions and to gain more knowledge from you and as well. So thank you guys so much. And we will see you again next Thursday at 11 a.m. With our guests So bye-bye, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Bye.
Be safe. We are still in a
Bye.
pandemic. Mask up and social distance.
And get your
Bye-bye, guys.
vaccination.
And get your vaccination. Happy birthday to Ms. Robin. Happy anniversary to Mr. Greg. And another good friend of mine, her birthday is today, Ms. Barbara Lindsay, who is the founder of the Los Angeles Black Business Expo. Want to wish them all a happy birthday and happy celebrations. And we'll all see you guys next week. Bye-bye.